Hi, Scorpio. So if I tell you that it just gets so great as soon as Gemini season starts, does that help? Okay, Uranus is in Taurus. Welcome to the Kundalini rise of anyone who has natal Uranus in Scorpio, specific group of people. Welcome. Things get very interesting now, and things start off on that confusing, surprising, what? People you know are going, she did what? He did what? They're doing what? Because all of a sudden, there are several things that you just really need to do. You may feel almost pulled to do some pretty irrational things, actually. In terms of love, in terms of money, in terms of family, in terms of everything. So in terms of money, be careful, because you don't need that stress. You don't need to be heavily involved in another risky venture. Uranus across from you is risky enough. Excuse the prep here. I'm just leaving for a flight after this. So I'll do the second part of your video, inshallah, from Helsinki. Okay. The confusion of the first part, you can already sense it. You guys are on edge about it. You don't know what it is, but you can sense it. You're like, oh, something's not right. Something's not right. Okay. We're getting way into our High Priestess bag. Very happy to see it. Of course, that's my advice. Mars in Gemini, of course, this is my advice. I think the moon is in Scorpio right now. Fantastic. Yeah, this first part of the month is so full of surprise and confusion and perhaps anger, jealousy. Maybe not even you. It might not be you. You may feel like your partner is acting like you. Like your partner is being jealous the way you usually are. So it can be weird because you're like, wait, like I'm supposed to be the one doing this, but they're like wilding out. It's that Uranus sitting across from you. House of Relationships is lit. Okay. So the Magician and the Ten of Cups, great. You are definitely in tune with that alchemical energy. For sure. Right now we have Neptune in Pisces, we have the North Node in Cancer, and we have the Moon in Scorpio. So for a few days there is a wonderful trine going on, which speaks to this Magician card. And then we have the Ten of Cups. So the alchemy that you so readily have and so often use gets really focused on the love life. And then, speaking of love life, 8 of Wands and the Lovers. So, love rushing in. Also, if you're dealing with a Gemini, it seems like they're moving very fast, which also makes sense, Mars in Gemini. Be careful here. If the person you are thinking of is doing financially very well, it's showing up here as some sort of an issue for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't like it. It's somehow it's an issue. It may be that they feel like you like them because of this, or you feel that they like you because of it. It's something a little bit tricky that has to do with love/money. So, you know, your suspicion could be, I feel it, like, no need. No need. All of that is legit. Just the Sun and Uranus are there across from you now. It's a lot to have one of those things across from you, but both. For all the flack we give you for being super tough, you know, this isn't not easy. Like, it's gonna be a ride. But then look at that, 8 of Wands and the Lovers card. What did I say? Does it help if I say that when we get to Gemini season, everything smooths out. What I was saying was, considering your relationship most often with Geminis being so antagonistic, it's funny to me that your relief from this upheaval comes from Gemini season. You're like, you can't get there quick enough. You're like, come on, like, let's just be over with Taurus season. I'm good. Yay, yay, passion, yay, weird stuff. Why is everybody so emotional? Like, great, let's just get through this. And High Priestess Magician is definitely the way to go. It's a smart move. High Priestess being pull back. Someone was saying in the Gemini reading, oh, well, every reading she's telling us to be quiet. Okay, but if a Gemini watches their mouth, they're going to get much further than they would if they didn't. So, like, you can be irritated when someone is asking you to go against your nature, but it's only for your benefit. Your nature is sometimes something you're supposed to overcome, not indulge. That's not even a read on you. It ended up being, but it did not start out that way. Okay, so High Priestess, Magician all the way. What does that mean? That means that you switch off. You are either keeping to yourself and going real quiet while all this craziness is going on around you, and you're thinking it through finally because you're about to do, you're about to move, you're about to marry, you're about to propose, you're about to change jobs, you're about to start a new business, you're about to tell this person or that person that it's over. Like, you're going through your death rebirth thing, but it's happening in a very specific aspect of your life, and that aspect being love. And let's not forget, the Empress is pregnant. So love, marriage, kids, all of that. In that particular area of your life, you are now feeling, of course, the Sun and Uranus across from you, House of Relationships. You are now feeling not just the urge, not just the longing, but a real external pull, because you can resist yourself. You're very good at that. You can use your iron will against yourself. So the way I put it to you in the All Signs video at the beginning of the season was, you know, you're at this door that you've made yourself. And a lot of Scorpios like had issues with what I was saying. You know, like they were like, oh, well, I don't really want to hear that. Okay, but what happens now, the reason I told you that is because what happens now, let me stop yelling at you, is that door gets ripped away from the outside. It's gone. Like, Uranus does not suffer any sort of foolishness. It's too much of a trickster planet on its own. It's too weird to let things that are actually not weird but just destructive slide. It won't. So now that the door is gone, then Scorpio is exposed, you know, because that door, in a lot of ways, that secret longing, that thing that you really want but you're never going to act on, that business you really want to start, or that risk you really want to take, but you're stuck and for some reason frozen and you just can't do it. When that door gets ripped away, with that Uranian energy just pulls it away, it's like your armor, your exoskeleton is pulled away. And you know, then when you're in danger, that being that can sit so still and be so quiet moves very fast and very efficient and deadly and dangerous, and just get the fuck out of its way. So you may find yourself kind of scurrying in every direction, trying to get out of, you know, the spotlight. Because with that blanket, that emotional security blanket ripped away from you, you have to quickly now, on your feet, redefine who you are. And if you think it's going to get any easier, it's not. This is going to be going on for a few years. It's this constant, like, it's, you know, these placements are now going to teach Scorpio emotional intelligence, because you guys get away with it a lot. You guys get away with people thinking that you're emotionally very intelligent because you're so intuitive and you're so psychic, and because you can feel what people feel. But just because a Scorpio can feel what you feel doesn't mean they know how to process it, and doesn't mean they know how to process it for themselves either. So sometimes feeling what other people can feel can be worse than not knowing, because if you don't know how to process it properly, you could come up with whatever conclusion you want based on what you felt. What I mean is that sometimes it can be a curse. So now you learn real emotional intelligence, which will just make you more powerful, more psychic, more successful, better at, you know, getting what you want. Okay, so the card that flew out is the Judgment card. Okay, so the card that flew out is the Judgment card, the Three of Swords, the Tower, and the Queen of Swords. So the emotional intelligence has a lot to do with, first, you know, like having your feelings out there and taking the risk, or saying the thing, or people are saying the things to you. After that comes the Three of Swords Tower moments, where you have to deal with the repercussions of that and actually have to start doing the work of processing the feels. After that, Queen of Swords, you come to some sort of an understanding, especially if here it looks like it's a Gemini, but it could be any air sign. There's a Libra here underneath with some regret as well. They're dealing with a regret. A Libra in your life is dealing with the regret having to do with an earth sign. But somehow this is, there is, you know, you've been vacillating between bondage and freedom, bondage and freedom. And that's why I said that the Tower moment, the Three of Swords, the stuff that Uranus is going to do, it's just going to make you smarter. It's going to make you better. It's going to make you take risks where before you were being really scared. It's very positive. It just looks scary, and it may feel, you know, it's like that impending doom feeling. And I assure you, you don't have to feel that way, even though the things you are going to be talking about, be subjected to, the way people are going to be coming at you, the way you're going to be wanting to react, it's a lot. And it's about really big subjects that are ultimately very, very important to you. So it's a lot. But there's also, you know, Judgment, Three of Swords, Tower. It's a lot about revelation. It's a lot about people finally saying the things, you included. So that's going to bring upheaval. And then, you know, Queen of Swords. We walk into Gemini season feeling that uncertainty dissipate, no longer wanting, especially to play with money. Don't be foolish with money. Just don't. If anyone is like, oh, you should do that. No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do anything. You should just save. Not the time. Take a rest. Take a rest, and all your wins are coming. But you know this. Okay. This is very interesting to look at. Let's look at it together. I love you. You know this. Mwah. Hi, Scorpio. Okay, let's take a look. Hi, Priestess. And then the Magician. From the 2 to the 1. You can see how you have to delve back into yourself. Right now is the time to be true to yourself. Yes, the love is either already here or it's coming. Yes, for a lot of you, it's a very deep connection. You're like, finally, my human. And yes, you have big hopes for where it will go. I think it'll be great. However, if there is something here that needs to be spoken about, middle of May, it begins. You have these like halcyon warm days here, and then middle of May, you have to confront some stuff. If you're dealing with an air sign, quite a lot of stuff. If you're dealing with a Libra, this person's going through a lot. If you're dealing with, well, if you're dealing with another Scorpio, you guys are coming up as very well matched. Now, The hesitation on your part also has a lot to do with not being able to forgive. This month is one of those months that drags you into your forgiveness because, well, you can see how much it's holding you back. There's something you want to make a lot of progress with now, especially in terms of love. And you can see within yourself how there are hang-ups. Issues from the past, but also just hang-ups, like things that you need to get to the bottom of and need to communicate with your significant other about, or they feel like they need to communicate that with you. This is not in any way a bad thing, but you can turn it into a bad thing if you take it personally, right? Even if someone has completely valid points when they criticize you, you still can't take it personally. Just because something is accurate doesn't make it right. You know, someone could tell you something about yourself and not mean to help you or be insightful and just be mean. You know how this goes. So you can't take personally whatever in the middle of the month needs to be said. But I also think this has to do with you voicing how hurt you've been in the past and being really honest about what you've been through. Whether it's to someone from the past or someone new. You're opening up, and of course that looks like, you know, hearts cracking and towers falling. But it's good. Now, if you feel like either an air sign or an earth sign is vacillating and going back and forth and a little bit unsure about you, the cards give you very good advice here, and I'm all for it. Do your own thing. Get really, really independent. Because anyone who makes you feel even the slightest bit like an option needs to see that you have a whole life as an option. You don't keep people around as options. You understand? So even if you are feeling a bit of anxiety and stress, like, oh, does this person like me or not like me? This month is about following that windy, messy road right back to yourself. Does he or she like me? Do they like me? Who cares? Do you like you? Like, that's what this month is trying to get to the bottom of. Do you like you? Because anyone who's treating you like an option is trying to teach you how to love yourself. Anyone that you can't seem to forget from the past that you are still really attached to is someone that you care so much about that you're in some way neglecting yourself. This month is about teaching Scorpios that even if you love somebody with all your heart, it's still your fault if you put them in front of yourself. That's not their fault. And if you're heading into a new relationship right now, take heed. Don't do that. Now, this was already part of your extended, but see here? Victory has to do with patience, but also with independence. That independence and doing your own thing brings you what? Oh, okay. We'll leave these and then we'll shuffle through and clarify one by one, yeah? What we've been doing, which is so fun, like as I evolve my style of reading for myself, I also end up evolving the extended. So now we're doing clarifying and then clarifying on top of that if it's saucy. Ooh, okay. Love you. Sorry it's late. See you in the extended.